I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Welcome back to the Quarter Mile Podcast. We are on episode 3 of season 2 with my wonderful co-host CJ Walton. How are we doing today, CJ?
We are doing cold.
It's cold. It's too cold.
It's too cold.
Like it is. Like I walk out. Like when I'm finally where I need to be, and I walk out in this disgusting weather, and I walk to wherever I'm going. I get so angry before I even get inside because it's like, why is this temperature so disgusting?
That is the best way to describe this temperature.
Yeah, like you have to
and it's petty.
It is. It's
petty weather.
But there's always that person from the north that's like, well, it could be where it's like, okay, look, like, yeah, we're not in Chicago, we're in Nashville.
Right, we're in Tennessee. It's not even supposed to be like this.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're good to go. Yay.
But yeah, we're happy. It is not cold in this room. Your house's temperature is fantastic. So it's great. Today we're reviewing the movie Better Luck Tomorrow. And we're very excited to be joining you all with this. I had never seen this movie before. CJ, before this?
No.
Never had seen did you even know this movie existed?
No, honestly, no.
It just goes to show you there are so many random movies out there that nobody knows exist until like you're in a situation.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, like it's great. So we are all over social media, the Quarter Mile Podcast. Join our conversations, join our polls. Every time a week or two before we review any movie, we always ask people, what do you guys think? And then that's something that can maybe you can submit your opinion, and that might be something that comes into our podcast. So be sure to do that. So let's just get right into it. Initial feelings of this movie.
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I found my new husband in it.
Okay, perfect.
But I mean, I can see why it was made.
Okay.
But I mean, what purpose does it hold?
That is a great question. A lot of people
I can see why the movie was made. But I'm like, did they just put the movie in there which one does it tie into?
Okay, great question. So, for anyone who's watching who doesn't know, this movie is, at first it wasn't part of Fast and Furious at all. It came before any of the Fast and Furious.
Okay.
Fury Eye. Okay. But the character who was introduced in Tokyo Drift, Han, who's your future husband, this was actually...
I mean, you know.
So this was actually supposedly his backstory.
Okay, so this was his origin story.
Yeah, so what happened was I guess we'll get into the movie overview a little bit. Right off the bat, this movie was directed by Justin Lin, who he directed half the Fast and Furious. He directed 3, 4, 5, 6. He didn't do 7, didn't do 8, he did 9. So like the Fast and Furious series is what it is today, basically because of him. Okay. And Tokyo Drift was his first big movie. He was discovered through this movie, Better Luck Tomorrow. And it wasn't like a mass discovery. So actually, I listened to a few other people's podcasts about Better Luck Tomorrow. And one thing I learned was this movie actually didn't catch on until its about third viewing at an independent film festival.
Okay.
And then what ended up
shown first? Was it Sundance?
Sundance, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then what happened was, I want to say it was Ebert was the director who like really caught on to it.
Okay.
And so it's just kind of so it never actually got like a huge following. I mean, this is another cult movie, but like that's weird calling them cult movies. I feel like
it's not weird. I mean, because we're drawn into them.
Right, absolutely. So yeah. So this is a very niche audience. And so what happened was he got one director, one film person who just really liked it, along with a few other people. Mm-hmm. Because at first the movie was having no funding. I feel like I'm dropping all these interesting facts before we actually get in the movie.
Yeah.
This is fun stuff for me about Better Luck Tomorrow. there was
I
someone
do
who
love the name.
yeah, it is an interesting name, and it does kind of go with the point of the movie a little bit, but we'll talk about it later. But like the ending is the only part that I wasn't really sold on, you know.
Maybe, yeah.
So I think that maybe that's what the problem with the movie is. Like I'm with it until the resolution, and I'm like I didn't feel like it gave me enough resolution.
It gave me
But-
nothing.
But what happened with this movie was there was actually someone they were having funding problems. This could have been a bankrupt moment for Justin Lin and his film company.
Oh, wow.
And so at first a person reached out to them and offered them $1 million to produce the movie because they really believed in it. But the caveat was it had to be an all white cast.
No.
And what is the name of the actor who's like in Home Alone and like Macaulay whatever?
Macaulay Culkin?
Yes, him. So that was who they were like. We want him to be the character of Ben, like the main character guy. Which can you even imagine?
Oh, I'm saying Macaulay
So-
Culkin.
So then he didn't. So he didn't take that.
Shout out to you, Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. Well, no. He shout out to him, but he wasn't in the movie. Shout out to Justin Lin for not making it a whitewashed. Movie.
That's what I'm
Just-
saying.
yeah.
Shout out to you for not doing that. Like,
yeah. So,
you knew that wasn't the right role for you, sir.
absolutely.
You knew that.
So then, so for this movie, all the actors waived their salaries because they believed in like the message of the movie that it
You know, I've heard of actors doing that.
Yeah.
I've heard of a lot of actors doing
Yeah.
that.
and then but it still wasn't quite enough. And so then he finally got a person called him kind of in the last inning, like, okay, I can help you pay for this movie.
Yeah.
And that person was MC Hammer.
As in, can't
Uh,
touch this?
Yeah, he heard
As
about
in,
this
please,
movie.
Hammer,
Yeah.
don't hurt him.
Yeah, he was like, he believed in this little.
And that's
And-
why
and
we
he's-
pray,
Oh, yeah.
just to make it today. See, this is why hip hop saves the world again.
Absolutely.
I be trying to tell y'all. I ain't say gangster rap. I said hip hop. I gangster rap too.
Both have their place.
Both have their places. But of course, MC Hammer.
Right. Like you just came in and saved the day.
Of course, because you can't touch him.
No. Hammer time.
See,
And he-
go Hammer. Shouts out to MC Hammer.
Yeah. What an interesting.
I've heard so many wonderful stories about that man. It makes no sense. So
Yeah. So let's talk about the cast in this. So we
Okay,
had
yeah.
Perry Shen as Ben.
okay,
He was the most notable movie he's been in was New Guy. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It would have probably been about
yeah.
she's the female lead, Eliza Dushku or whatever.
Yeah.
She was very formative in my teenage years. So she's who I remember when I think of that movie. He also did a lot of he's done a lot of voiceover for video games. The most interesting to me was he was in Diablo 4 and Mortal Kombat 1.
I would love to be in Mortal Kombat.
Right? Like, how do we look us up, Perry? Let us know how.
Right, like
How to get our voice
that's
to-
another one of my dreams is to be like a voiceover actor.
Yeah, and that's like a really achievable dream. I'm
No,
learning,
no, no,
I'm
no.
learning a lot of comedians and stuff like that do voiceover.
Yeah, I want to be a cartoon.
Yeah, okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Be a really. I was gonna say you'd
Like-
be a really good cartoon. I meant voice acting.
yes, like a kangaroo or a
Yeah. Listen, everyone, shout out, voice in the comments or the whatever fan mail. Let us know which animal you think CJ should voice. When you look at her,
I say kangaroo, but he
I don't know. I could see kangaroo,
kangaroo.
but
Winnie the Pooh,
yeah.
Kanga.
Was there a
Mom.
kangaroo? Oh yeah, there was a mom and there was a mom kangaroo.
Or I could be on Abbott Elementary,
Okay,
as a new teacher,
there you go.
or on the new cartoon. It's just Chris as like
Yeah.
a love interest.
I'm thinking like a sassy rabbit.
Oh, I would love to be a rabbit on Sing.
Yeah.
Yes, somebody make me a rabbit.
Other cast that we had in this movie, Jason Tobin as Virgil.
Oh yeah, Jason Tobin.
And I have to say, he, in my opinion, in this movie, he was the best.
Oh, he was awesome.
Right? Yeah, like his acting. There were the scenes where he went from like crazy eccentric to like freaking out about his dad, like in the car. That was like, to me, that was. But I also
Would you
think
call that eccentric or would you call that right on the money?
I don't know. Like, so I've been thinking. That's the scene that I've been thinking about. Ever.
That
Because-
probably is one of my fave scenes.
Yeah, because first the rush of like, oh, I did this really cool thing, and then it was like, oh, what did I just?
What did I just do?
Yeah, and he got us there with his acting. But I think it should be noted too, at least in my mind, when I first was watching Ben in this, I wasn't a fan. Like the first little bit of the movie, I was like, I could care less about this main character.
Yeah.
Because he's just so boring, so just, Virgil's going over the top acting and
That's the
stuff
way I
like
could
that.
say it.
And you're watching him, but I think he was supposed to be boring because he kind of was like this blank state. It's blank, excuse me. He was kind of this blank slate where like he didn't know who he was yet. He didn't know what kind of person he wanted to be. So he's
Okay, yeah.
playing the part.
I don't, yeah.
And it got me wondering, like, because obviously when you watch a movie like this, like the people you're drawn to are the Virgil crazy characters. But you might know this as an actress. Is it easier to play the over the top characters that honestly we remember more when we're watching movies, or the characters that are kind of intentionally bland so that like the story can happen?
I think it's a little bit of A and a little bit of B.
Okay.
Because when you're going over the top and whoever's there, you don't want to pull away from them. You don't want to take away from their scene by being so over the top. But when you have to go and just be, like you say, a bland or be white, be it's like a wall. Just be like,
Yeah.
just stand against the wall. I don't even know if that's harder because it takes, maybe it is harder because it takes more pressure.
Right. Like I just feel like you have to almost be so intentional with everything that you do.
Yeah, you have to literally focus. So yeah.
So it should be so I guess we should say Sung Kang is the one that most of us enjoying this podcast know because he was Han in Fast and Furious. He was also in this movie.
Oh yeah.
And so here's the debate. A lot of people will say that this was Han from Fast and Furious's origin story because he was Han in Better Luck Tomorrow, right?
That's my question.
And I mean, the actor, the director, they'll agree these movies are tied together. So in my mind, that means okay, they're tied together. And what had happened was when Justin Lin took on Tokyo Drift, he liked the character of Han so much from Better Luck Tomorrow, he wanted to bring him in to this movie. So, and this is not the first. Well, this is the first time he brought Sung Kang into a movie just because he likes Sung Kang. The second time was actually in the fourth Fast and Furious movie when so at the end of Tokyo Drift, spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie that's been out forever, Han dies. And so, and they kind of thought this might be the end of the trilogy of the Fast and Furious, but then they bring it back several years later with Fast 4, and Justin Lin is directing it again. And he was telling Sung Kang, he was like, "Hey man, I would love to have you in this movie, but your character died." But Sung Kang, in a true Han fashion, simply said, "Kitty." And then Justin was like, you know what? Maybe he didn't. Maybe we'll just... And then that's when they decided to make Tokyo Drift the 8th of the Fast and Furious series.
I was trying... Okay, because I'm like, how does it...
Yeah, and so...
But you know what? It's like a drive.
Yeah, it is. It is a wild drive. The truth is with Fast and Furious movies, they just do whatever they want, and then
they do.
They'll figure the plot out later. So then they bring Sung Kang back as Han for Fast 4 through 6, and then he dies at the end of 6, and that set up 7. But that's like, it's going back to Tokyo Drift. And then there was this big movement online called #Justice for Han. And all these people...
Did I miss?
I mean, it wasn't...
I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah, it's not... If you weren't huge into Fast and Furious, you probably did miss it. And it's not... Because outside of Fast and Furious, it's not that big of a deal. But it really isn't. But what happened was enough fans were like, we want to have Han back. But by the 9th movie, they brought this character who had already died twice in the series back for a third time.
Yeah, see, that makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. Except for the fact that in everything in Fast and Furious, sense isn't really a consideration.
Yeah.
So it does make sense for the franchise. Enough people were being like, we want to see cars in space, that they were like, let's put cars in space.
That just made no sense to me. I'm sorry, y'all.
But here's where people get like, they'll go the other side, because also in Tokyo Drift, you saw the actor who played Virgil, Jason Tobin.
Mm-hmm.
but he was playing a completely different character. And so they were like, well, if you brought Han back, why didn't you bring back this other guy?
Yeah.
He play and the same character he plays in Fast and Furious 3 eventually comes back briefly for 9.
9.
And then if you want to get hyper specific, one of the other actors who was in this movie, who was Roger Fan, who played Derek, he also was in Rush Hour. I didn't know that until I read it in his credits. And this is like the
Rush Hour, the first one?
The first one, yeah. I think he was just like an extra or whatever. I don't think he was like the main character. But he also was briefly in Fast 4 as an FBI agent. So it is kind of fun. Once you notice directors and who's directing certain movies, you start seeing reoccurring actors.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They bring who they want to bring.
Yeah, and I like that. I like it's kind of supporting your people, you know.
Absolutely.
So, in Fast and Furious fashion, it's like really supporting your family. Like so. But yeah, I guess we should say in this movie we had we had Sung Kang as Han. We also had Karen Ann Wang as Stephanie, and this was like, according to IMDb, this was like the only thing she was in. She ended up, I don't know if she just did this one acting thing. I was like, I'm good, but she wasn't in anything else. I thought she did pretty good in this movie. She was fine.
She wasn't in anything else?
I mean, according to the IMDb website, there was no like credits, credits for her. Yeah, that was her. So,
hey, that's a pretty big credit.
Yeah, maybe she was just like, better luck tomorrow. That's all I need.
She was like, I'm good.
So
I'm good. I got paid. I'm good.
And then the one who's probably the most known out of this cast was the one who played Steve Cho, and his real name was John Cho.
John Cho.
So, and he's the one we've seen him in a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of voice acting too, and so he's been in a lot. So.
He got a good IMDb. It was a good cast.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It was a good cast. I didn't dislike the movie. I just was like, what are you really about?
Right. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I just couldn't get, for a minute, I was like, okay, all right, let me watch again. Let me get into this, because I didn't hate it, but it didn't hit me.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the thing with indie movies is they have a very specific message that they're trying to tell. Whereas in bigger movies, they're going to try to reach a wider audience. The indie movies have like a specific message, and it's for specific people. And if it's not your thing, that's fine. Whereas like bigger movies are like, we're going to try to get as many people as possible. Yeah. But with this one, they don't mind diving more into more specifics.
Yeah.
So, speaking of specifics, let's dive into the AI plot summary.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So let's fasten your seatbelt, folks, because Better Luck Tomorrow takes you on a wild ride throughout the high octane world of overachieving high schoolers getting a little too extracurricular. So our story kicks off with Ben, your average straight A student who decides that just acing his class and isn't thrilling enough. Enter Virgil, his comedic sidekick, whose antics rival any vaudeville act, and Han, the stoic one with a hidden penchant for mischief, a regular Yoda in the streets, fifth in the sheets. Is that what that is? Fifth in the sheets? I like that. Under the mastermind guidance of Derek, the gang dives headfirst into the rabbit hole of the scandalous side hustles, from running a cheating ring sharper than a number 2 pencil, escalating into more daring escapades, to turn their high school into a heist school. I like that. Yeah, that high school. Okay, anywho. Ben's life gets an extra dash of drama when he finds himself smitten with Stephanie, the ever-elusive girl next door with a boyfriend named Steve. Steve, the foil to our nerdy heroes, plays a crucial role. Think of him as the cherry bomb on top of this incendiary sundae. As their lives spiral into a whirlwind of illicit adventures, they learn what happens when you swap your textbooks for a life of crime. Their schemes start small, but snowball faster than an avalanche in Psychic 101. Leading to dire consequences when one prank goes too far and snowballs into a crime that cracks their pristine facades. Stephanie, caught in the mist, adds layers of complications as Ben tries to balance love and larceny, hoping his tomorrow is just a little luckier. The gang's mantra of winning at any cost teaches them that life isn't just a multiple choice. It comes with a stringent grading curve, a real life plot twist harder than any pop quiz. So break out your pom-poms and calculators, because this cautionary tale of ambition, friendship, and moral dilemmas proves that sometimes the ultimate test isn't the classroom, but in the choices we make. After all, there's no cheating on the test of life.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Go.
So, that's the thing. This was a high school movie, and it came out in 2002. Which I don't know if you remember back in 2002, but there were all kinds of high school movies coming out. I mean,
Well, no wonder in 2002, yeah.
yeah, that was so. You're talking like American Pie. You're talking,
Yeah. That's the only movie I was about.
yeah, that which I liked the first one. I thought the first one actually had a very powerful satirical
Well, yeah,
message.
absolutely.
And then after that, they were just like raunchy funny.
Yeah, they were
So,
like
yeah,
just
but
trying to catch that.
but like
funny.
the first one, like you could, I mean,
Oh, that would be no Stifler's
they,
Law.
yeah. So
We would not have MILF if it were not for America.
absolutely, what a weird contribution to society. So,
Thanks, Stifler's mom.
thanks, yeah. So this movie in an era of high school rom-coms where you had some that were like really good and powerful. I'm thinking like A Walk to the Remember, right?
Yeah.
Where, like that one has a pretty big message. But then you also have like Bring It On. Like so then
Well, hold on now. You know, I'm a cheerleader.
I know
Cheerleader.
as soon as those words left my mouth, I was like, this is not the right audience for me to smack on Bring It On. Can we at least say that maybe they made too many Bring It On?
Oh, absolutely.
So
After Break It On, they should have stopped.
yeah, but I think they're still making them.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about this movie, and it goes back to it being more of an indie cult classic, is it is a high school movie, but Justin Lin, the director, but also like anyone, I guess he's the main person who's putting the vision of the movie. But Justin Lin is very specific about not going into normal high school tropes, but he brings them up frequently to show you that like we could, but we're not going
Not
to.
going to.
To me, the perfect example of that is like the prom scene. Like it's not that big of a deal in the movie,
Yeah.
but they make sure they include it. Or like the fact that he was like on the basketball game, the fact that he was on the basketball team, not that big of a deal overall. So for this movie, I did not get a lot of fast fan feedback. I got like one comment from someone, but
Okay, well, let's hear it.
I added a new thing. It's called reading bad movie reviews of the movie. So, 'cause there are people out there that hate everything, including random 2002 movies that were under the radar and weren't really that big of a deal, but people still will write. And I don't, good movie reviews are nice and don't bring me much joy to read because it's just like they're like, this is a good movie, okay. But bad movie reviews, they will.
Oh, I am ready for
They
this.
get into it. So, got a couple bad movie reviews, and my favorite thing about these reviews is the names of like the titles they give them. So this first one's called Out of Luck. I cannot understand why anyone would want to see this movie. Brutal, senseless, tragic, hopeless, ugly. I could go on when he does. What purpose is it in describing life in such a way that we somehow feel good about watching our lives spiral into depravity? It's not entertaining. It's not enlightening because we know that mankind is capable of anything. So, where's the dignity? Where's the integrity? Where's the possibilities of a life well invested in making this world a better place? I don't understand why anyone would want to spend their life in the production of this movie, let alone viewing of this movie. Damn. More films like this will make me a former moviegoer. I'm ready to throw in the towel. The profanity is a virtual sewer. I did not see one parent in this movie. I actually noticed that too. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that is a good point, King.
Yeah.
That is a good point. You're like, what? Anyway.
They're raising themselves in this movie.
Absolutely. Is that reality? Certainly any decent parent would edit their children's mouths with soap and water if they'd heard this language. I like how what bothers this person is the language, not that they're like doing cocaine and they killed a guy and like
it's all about the profanity. They don't have parents.
Absolutely. I'm like, well, maybe there's other issues they were dealing with too. The whole like fawning and anyway. I don't know who this person is, but if you are hearing this on the podcast and you know who wrote this review, please go check on them. Please go see if they're okay. Next bad review.
Oh, I need to hear this.
Is entitled "Wipe Tomorrow."
Oh,
good start. Yeah, already. I'll say that this movie is well acted. Good start. It is clear from the beginning that the actors playing the lead has clout. The story, however, pointless. Commenting on nothing important and taking itself too seriously. The ending blows as well as a vague, open-ended narrative where nothing is concluded. It is clear that the makers had no idea how to finish the film So they tacked on one of those very popular, in the most unimaginative ways of films, drive off into the sunset, looking to the future. What might happen, we never know, because only the smartest of new screenwriters get deep with intellectual cliches.
So he didn't like the movie?
He didn't like the movie.
That's the only thing.
Yeah. A simple, like, I didn't like it would have been totally fine.
It's like, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I was just like, it wasn't my favorite. Like, I'm not going to go watch it again.
But I'm also not going to write a manifesto of it.
It's like my butt with.
It's funny, yeah.
You got any more? Because that was funny.
Well, the last one I have is actually from a Reddit comment, and it was a bit more positive.
Okay.
This one we had a couple episodes ago, I think, with Dumb Queso. So Queso's coming back.
Queso? Shout out to Queso.
Shout out to Queso. I hope Queso listens to this and comments more. Other than Virgil's use of the N-word, which although he was a virgin up until the end, most of the movie, so I wasn't wrong. Okay, anyway. Other than Virgil's use of the N-word, I really enjoyed the movie. In the grand scheme of Fast movies, I like watching between Fast 1 and 2, and chronologically, I treat them as a trilogy of intro movies. I believe he's talking about this movie, the one we're going to review next week, Los Bandoleros, and then the turbocharged prequel that we watched last week.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So this does, so he's saying this kind of is the prequel to Tokyo Drift, which I get.
Okay.
So yeah,
get that.
We love everyone's feedback. So follow us on social media.
Please.
You can even drop comments, like fan mail from wherever you're listening to this podcast. One of the things you might want to do, might be interested in, is we already have a poll up for our third season. So we're going to do something different in a few months when we're done with season 2, which is we are going to hyper focus on one of the Fast and Furious celebrities, one of the main actors. That's going to be, we'll start watching all their movies, and that will be like the next season. So we got a poll up right now. We've give you 4 options. We gave you Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Michelle Rodriguez, and the Fast and Furious Spy Racers season 1. Just something a little bit different. So you can give us your opinion of who you'd like to put your vote in.
I hope it's Michelle.
Well, I have one person, shout out to Jeremy Long, who did vote for Michelle. So Michelle's currently got 1 point.
Okay.
Vin Diesel currently has 2 points. Currently, Paul Walker's got 6 points.
Of course.
So,
that question: can we vote?
We can vote. Yeah, we can absolutely vote. So you can go ahead and make it Michelle as.
I'm gonna vote.
So go for it. I'll edit right after the episode. If you're listening to this podcast, you have the option of sending in fan mail, and you could literally just say Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, and Michelle Rodriguez, Spy Racers, and we'll know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And that way your opinion can be heard, and that can help dictate where we're going with our movie reviews. Yeah. So, all right, let's get into it. Like our opinions of this movie.
Well,
are we still processing them?
I'm still processing.
Are you somewhere between decent and butt wipe tomorrow?
No, I'm definitely nowhere near butt wipe. I'm near now that you kind of explained it a little bit more to me, I get why it was made. I'm just like, did it have to be made? I'm like, no. So I could have done without it.
Yeah.
Could have done without it. It's not a bad movie. I might sit back and watch it again, but it's not anything that I'm going to run and go.
Right. I liked the movie. I liked the story. I
did like the story. I just maybe what was it? Is it because they were teenagers?
Maybe it was because teenagers. Is there a degree of this that is like so unbelievable that it makes it hard to hear the message of the movie, where like they're that much into crime that they're making so much money off of doing this stuff? Was that maybe with the fact that you're watching teenagers who were making like big mistakes and it was hard to see kids doing it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. I'm like, what y'all doing? Yeah.
Yeah, there's okay, but there is a part of me. I was thinking about this when I watched the movie. When he beats Steve Cho down with the baseball bat, kills him towards the end.
Oh yeah.
As terrible as that is, when I was in high school, I spent 4 years being absolutely in love and friend zoned by this one girl. She was Asian too, which is kind of interesting in the context of this. And she always was like with the douchiest dudes ever, and I was always like the best friend.
Aww.
And I hated it, obviously. Aww. And so there was a part, this is totally terrible. But there was a part of me when he was beating the guy down with the baseball bat at the end. I was like, I mean, I get it. Like, don't do it, but like, we've all been there, bandits. Like, I get it.
Like I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, do I think the bully deserves it? Yeah, absolutely. I just was like, y'all daddy's gonna be doing this crime. It's
Right, yeah.
like
Maybe they were out doing the crime, and that's why they were.
maybe.
So what I did think was interesting was each of the kids. One of their biggest issues that they kind of all bonded over was pressure of their parents. Right? And I do remember in high school knowing Asian American kids, and there was always that pressure they had from their parents, right? And so that was believable to me in that,
That's probably the only thing.
Yeah. Well, it's a hyper realistic movie in that, like, it's not showing you reality. It's showing you, like, something where you as a movie watcher, especially maybe if you're a kid who's kind of living in that, you could think, wouldn't it be nice if I found a way to get out of this and then make lots of money and go on this crazy adventure and then kill my crush's boyfriend? The analogy loses it at the end, but
I have to agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't dislike it. I'm just like, did I need it?
Right. Well, and to me, I think the biggest problem that would lead me to asking the question, like, did we really need this, is the ending of the movie, which they did comment on. It seemed like it was finally going to resolve in some kind of way.
How?
But then it didn't.
Exactly.
Right? They're like, well, and
it just ended.
I get the message of the movie was, Ben has had his life structured for his whole life. And finally he went off the rails because he was, the structure got him. And so he was like so ready to get away from the structure. And then all this crazy stuff happened. And for the first time in his life, by the end of the movie, he doesn't know what's going on. Exactly. He doesn't know his future, and he's okay with it. But like, also the rational part of my brain is like, oh, you just murdered someone.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're okay. I feel like he blacked out and was like, I'm good.
Yeah, he's still in shock. That's what we don't see him. And I think it was. There were some interesting moments. I also couldn't help but, like, with his girl, like, he's gonna find out eventually, like that. So yeah. Which, side note, do we think she did the porno? That they intentionally never address it. They just bring it up. I went as far as trying to.
I don't think she did.
You don't think she did?
I don't think she did. I don't think she chickened out. I just think that she made a different deal. It was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, but then there's that video they were watching, but it could have been just a different.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't think it was her. I think she did something.
I think they wrote it in a way where you don't know for sure, but I do think,
I feel like she cut a deal.
I think she just I don't think everything about her character makes you think like she didn't do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like, so I don't think she did. I think it's a random side piece of the movie. It was interesting watching. They had some particularly violent moments, like at the party when they beat up that guy. That
was a nice. No, that was probably mine.
That was your favorite part?
Probably.
Yeah. What about that part was like the most fun for you?
It's because he deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can see. Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. That was the one thing I'm like, you know what? At some point, you got to learn to shut your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he'll know. That was growing up. That was something my parents taught me, and it was in hindsight, I don't know if it's the correct lesson, but it is a lesson, which was like
to shut your mouth.
So,
you got to know, like, when you look, he can probably whoop my ass. I might need to shut up.
Yeah, yeah.
He or she might. I might need to know.
And then pushing people around, they may pull out a gun.
They might pull out a gun. You know, that's how you never know what that other man got in his pocket. You never know. So leave people alone.
Just don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk. And that he never left. He was a douche.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was probably my favorite. That was mine.
That was your favorite. That's a good thing. It was interesting to me to see the dynamic between Virgil and Han. So Han, I already have this, idea of who he is based off the Fast and Furious movies, and this is all supposed to be like him before then. And like, he's a jerk. Like, he's beating up his little, maybe mentally challenged. Listen, like, what do we think about that? Is he just crazy, or was there like something.
I don't know if he was crazy, but probably something.
And if he doesn't, if he didn't have mentally challenges, he was definitely crazy. Like to me, it's like one or the other. Like either he had something, or like dude was like
maybe he's just very introverted.
Not Han. I'm talking about Virgil.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe he's just very like I don't want to. Okay, he's crazy.
Yeah.
I tried. I was like, no, he's.
Yeah, it was interesting, but right from the beginning of the movie, they were saying like when Ben was explaining his friend group, he's like, yeah, Virgil's not that smart, and I wonder if,
and that's what I'm saying, like maybe he hid within himself, like maybe he was just like afraid to speak up, or no,
because he spoke up, he said crazy stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
But it was interesting. So it was interesting to me because I don't know the way I saw it.
Yeah, he might have been.
I saw that he had some issues, had some stuff under the trunk, some things going on, and like his older cousin was like frequently beating him up. I mean, you see that scene where he's just laying into him, and it is crazy to me. And then of course that all leads to him, him trying to kill himself and making sure Han's present to hear the gunshot, which to me that seemed a little over the top for me. Like they didn't seem to like. I
have to agree with that.
I feel like maybe they were trying to show you how the different characters were handling the stress that they just covered up a murder.
I'll have to agree with that.
But it just seems like sometimes when you've seen all the most extreme things, you're like, okay, this is weird. So, but I am glad that it didn't end with him dying, though. Like, I'm glad that he was okay.
And just okay, like
I was like, as okay as you can be in a situation like that.
He was just okay.
The only other thing that is interesting to me, we talked about it a little bit, but I wonder if this movie would, if we would enjoy this movie or have deeper thoughts about this movie or more significant, like more passionate thoughts about it, if we were Asian Americans, because there was some pushback. So I mean, it was definitely an Asian American film made by Asian Americans for Asian Americans. Well, I'm.
Was it made?
So no, it wasn't made for Asian Americans. That's the thing, because there's a interesting point about at the film festival that Justin Lin discovered in this. After it was viewed, he was at an interview, and an Asian American got up in the back and yelled at him. It's like, how could you possibly, as an Asian American, portray Asian Americans like this? Like this guy was enraged.
Yeah,
that was when the movie critique guy, Ebert, I forgot his first name, but that guy, he yells at him. He's like, he doesn't have to make Asian American movies for Asian Americans. He can just make movies, like, and we and so
that's a good point.
And so there was within the Asian American community, there was like this movie caused a bit of a pressure because they didn't like how it portrayed Asian Americans.
So I guess my question would be, did it portray them in a light that they didn't like? Or is it like we don't want you to show this because this is private?
Maybe. I almost wonder if it showed it in a way that they didn't like, where they didn't like how they handled the issues and the stresses of having such stressful parents and being so high strung. And
that's a good topic.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah. I don't know. That's one of those things where I don't know enough where I feel like I have an opinion on it, but, which is funny because we're having a podcast episode and I don't have an opinion. This is literally just our opinions. Like, I don't know. Okay. Let's talk about some trivia. See if I think we might've mentioned a bunch of this.
You probably have.
Here's one that we didn't reference. That's kind of random, but
okay.
In the movie, when they're showing Ben working at his place, this was his day job before he went crazy and became a gangster. On the Employee of the Month board in the fast food restaurant, Justin Lin is listed as the Employee of the Month for February.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's really random, but fun.
I don't know why he would be, but that's fun. His Employee of the Month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
What did he do to become Employee?
Yeah, it's or maybe he never in his life was employee of the month, and he really wanted to be.
And that's
Like, you know what? In this
only-
movie, I'm gonna be employee of the month.
Yeah, that's
So,
the only way he could have got it done. I like that.
I like that. And honestly, all the other trivia we referenced earlier. So that means it's time for us to give our Too Fast, Too Furious movie ranking. You've seen 2 episodes, you know how it goes. Too Fast is loved it, Too Furious is hated it, and the other ones are the things in between.
I'm gonna go with Furious. It's not that I didn't like it, but I didn't love it. So I'm going with Furious.
Okay, absolutely. I'm going to give it a Fast.
Okay.
I would see it again because I feel like I missed something with this movie, which is why I'm not giving it a love it. I'm not giving it Too Furious. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, that was great.
Okay.
I enjoyed watching it, and it was fun kind of seeing like Han's backstory from Fast and Furious.
Okay. Because, like you said, that's his origin story.
Yeah. So that was fun, and I did enjoy the plot. I did have a good time. I've watched some movies. Actually, if you're with us next week, I'm not going to give it as good of a rating because when we watched that movie, it wasn't. It was. We'll get to it next week, but
Right.
I can already tell you right now. Spoiler alert! I didn't enjoy it as much. So there are sometimes you watch movies, and you're like, yeah.
You're talking about a movie where
Yeah, the next one we'll review.
we're reviewing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
which is fine. But okay. So all right, so I gave it a Fast. CJ gave it a Furious. Look at us. We're just out here reviewing movies. We're killing it. So we're gonna do Drew's best bits for this movie. I'm gonna call it Drew's best beatdown moments for this. Right. So
Okay.
So there were 3 ones that and I mean ones that kind of like took me just were jarring, right? So that ones that the winner is the one that I found most jarring, which actually, or no, I'm sorry. Let me say this again. So these are Drew's best beatdown bits.
Okay,
right?
best beatdown bits. Okay.
These are some of the beatdowns we saw in the movie, and we're gonna go with the one that I liked the most, which is very sinister, but that's the category. There we go.
Let's go.
So you have the scene. I think I'm doing this in order. The scene where the jock gets completely demolished by the guys.
Okay.
You have the scene where Han pulls his cousin aside, Virgil, and is just beating him down.
Okay.
And it's very calm music in the background. And then you have, of course, the ending scene with the baseball bat, and he is just knocking the stuffing out of him.
I want to say, and I'm going to win. I want to say it's the last one.
The last one was
With
the
bat.
okay,
Yes.
yeah. I just said this, and I was like, "Which one was the last one again?" Yeah. Is that your final answer?
Yes. Final answer.
To me, the jock moment. That was the only even though I know I said it earlier, where I was like, I get it. But the thing is the jock one, like you were saying earlier, like part of me was like, good. This is a learning lesson for the jock. The bat. That's at that point these guys are crazy. You're like, oh man, that escalated quickly.
Right.
So and then I really was sad about the Han beating up Virgil, because I really, when I watched this movie, I think this is a mentally handicapped kid and his cousin's just out there. And I honestly think maybe the reason why when you see Han in Fast and Furious later and he's more collected, he takes things less personally, he's honestly a nicer guy, he gets with Gal Gadot, like I think he grew from having regret with how he treated Virgil. If we're going to believe they're in the same universe, that's going to be something I believe is like stuff went down with his cousin and he felt bad about it and he grew as a person.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I should say nothing in these series suggests.
So did I get a?
No, you didn't. I got a point that time. So I'm sorry.
That's cool. Cool.
But at least I'm in the lead currently, which is great for me.
Yeah.
All right. Before we head out, we are going to do a quarter mile spotlight. We have another person and thing we'd like to feature. And I'm excited about this one. This is a good friend of mine. So we wanted featured today Sarah Beth Shute and the Tip Jar Nash. Have you ever heard of Tip Jar Nash?
I have not.
So the Tip Jar Nash is the Xennials. Tip Jar Nash is Xennial's guide to Nashville, because we still want to have fun, but also go to bed at a reasonable hour.
Oh.
So she has a Instagram, the Tip Jar Nash, and website. where she highlights all the fun activities, new food, drinks, hot spots, old favorites, and everything else that someone in their 30s or 40s might enjoy. However, everyone's welcome. I met her at a comedy show. She was one of the judges for one of Nashville's top comic shows. And then when I saw like her Instagram page, the Tip Jar Nash, and all the cool things that they recommend, and like if you're visiting Nashville or if you're a Nashville local and you're looking for something cool to do, this is such a great resource because
I like that.
She's updating every week with like maybe even every day with cool things to do. One of the coolest features is she'll have like a what's going on this week. So maybe if you're visiting and you're like, what can we do? This is a great thing to do.
Like that.
So her Instagram is the Tip Jar Nash. Definitely recommend checking that out and giving them a follow. Website,
Tip Jar Nash.
Yeah, thank you. The website is thetipjarnash.com. And go ahead and give them a follow, and they do regular giveaways. So that's kind of cool too.
I want a giveaway. I never win.
I'm sorry. Well, you know, when you don't win is today earlier when we did.
I didn't win that either. I never win. Maybe
you'll win at a Tip Jar Nash.
Maybe we'll see. See.
And I asked, of course, obviously, I asked Sarah, what are your thoughts on the Fast and Furious? And I feel like this needs a follow-up answer from her. But this was her first answer. She said,
"Okay,
I had a really bad date seeing Tokyo Drift years ago. But it's one of the best stories. So for that, the Fast and Furious will always have a special place in my heart."
Oh,
isn't that nice?
That is nice. I would love to hear the rest of that story.
Sarah, can you write us in that we can read it in a couple weeks, like the date? Like we want to know, what was this worst date ever and how did it turn into be a fun story?
I would love to know.
It is kind of cool though that she was talking about how she went to Tokyo Drift to have the worst date, and this movie is about one of the main characters in Tokyo Drift that we're reviewing today. So we didn't plan it to land on this episode, but it's kind of cool that it did. So anyway, Tip Jar Nash, they're definitely a spotlight worth checking out.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check them out. I'm going to check them out right now.
Yeah, to do it. So next week we're going to be watching the movie Los Bandoleros, which is a pre-movie for Fast and Furious 4. No one needed it, but they made it anyway. And so we're going to be talking about that. As always, feel free to check us out on social media, enter our discussions, do our polls. Just tell us what you think about each episode if you want. We're very grateful. I love hearing from y'all, honestly. And other than that, I hope you have an awesome week. I hope you stay warm. I hope nothing bad happens and it's just the best week ever. And just remember, have fun, do your thing, enjoy life, and live your life a quarter mile at a time.
I'm following you.
All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, bye.
Bye.